Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope you're doing well. So, got a nice email from someone talked about how do you not get sucked in? And I think this is a great question because it's a simple question, but it's also very sophisticated when you think about how the world works. It's not uncommon for folks to have media on all day. Now, I promise you, they're just going to find the things that are working and tout them. So and so, some stock was up because they got into a joint venture with mining cryptocurrencies or something like that. The thing was up 1,000%. I don't know the name of it. I don't remember. It wasn't 1,000%, but I'm sure you know the name. So you look at that and you say, okay, well, that's great. Why is that news? You know, why are you having two completely different businesses now under one ticker symbol? That's not typically how things work. Usually you want to have them focused. Anyway, in the world that we live in, it's a data point. And when you look at the excesses, it's not uncommon for the media to look at tails, right? You look at the tails on the upside and the tails on the downside. You say something's getting destroyed, something didn't pass phase 3 clinical trials on drug discovery, or there's some kind of merger or outlier event that no one could have predicted, and then that becomes the news for the day. Personally, I just don't have time for that. I don't have time for that type of infotainment. It doesn't make me a better person. It doesn't help me evaluate risks better. And if you're not aware, right, or you're not completely clear about who you are in the business, even if you're 50 something years old, if you've never thought about who you are in the business, chances are you don't have a clear answer for that. But it becomes this kind of rote mechanical process where you wake up every day, you boot up your machine, you turn on the TV. How do you not get sucked in? Well, try doing things differently. Give yourself a time limit. I'm going to boot my machine up at the start of the trading day. I'm going to spend 60 minutes in preparation or whatever it is. And if I don't see something that's working today, I'm taking the rest of the day off. I'm going to go do yoga. I'm going to come back tomorrow. Because unless you shake it up a little bit, you're going to keep doing the same damn thing. And it's hard to not get sucked in under those circumstances, especially when the markets aren't really, gelling right now. People want to dig in deeper. And that's kind of when I think the folks who have a better clue on things are actually stepping back. They're not going to dig in deeper. Right? When people get stuck, they tend to start grinding more as opposed to sharpening the saw. And people love to quote Stephen Covey and all those people, your Franklin Daily Planner back from the day. I don't know if they still exist. They used to talk about sharpening the saw. So this could be a great time that the universe is actually telling you with loud, Live at Leeds, the Who concert volume, and also how the market's not following through, that it's time to take a break. It's time to step back. Time to do things differently. You'll get new awareness on yourself, and in that regard, you can only win. So that might mean, no TV during the day. I'm not going to kill the entire day, on wasted potential on stuff that's not going to come to fruition. Why? Because the markets suck. And so what's the point of sitting there all day? How do you think you're going to get different results by doing that same process every day? You've got to challenge yourself to be different. We talked about, reaching out to former prospects. Well, this could also be a good time to reach out to new people who you've been meaning to call that you don't yet have a relationship with. Ask them how they're doing. Explain to them what your process is, or if you could book some time to walk them through a Zoom presentation of what you do and how you do it. You could even say, you might not need it now, but I just want you to be aware of what I do and how I do it, and how I'm not going to get sucked in, to the traps that most everyone else will. And that can be empowering, right? So again, we talked about how do you win the day. You might win the day, but it might come from another area, right? It might come from your marketing, not from your trading. It might come from personal growth. And those are hard habits to break, right? Because if you're used to that, you're like, well, that's my security blanket. How do I know what I'm doing if I'm not getting it from the TV? Well, I don't know the answer to that question. I have about a million ways that you could change that up, but I'm really not here to preach. nor to call anyone's girlfriend ugly. That's not really what I do, because we're all in this together. But man, when I look back and I think about the sleepless nights, most of that was self-induced. Because guess what? Say you have a friend who's in marketing or they sell paper for copier machines. They don't give a rat's backside where the market's going to come and go. And they probably don't even know where the hell the S&P is. But they're having a good life. They're working hard. They're living a joyful life. They're self-actualized. So you kind of put too much importance on these things. And that's why travel helps, right? Because you see another culture, you see another way of life. You can kind of detach. And it frees you up a little bit. It's hard to do that in this environment, depending on where you live and what the regulations might be for your state, city, country, whatever. I have listeners all over the world, so it's hard to say what's one good fit. But putting some distance between yourself and the market, even if your trading is not bad, but the markets are not great, they'll be here. The markets will be here tomorrow, next week, next month. And the whole rest of the world is able to take a sabbatical. Why wouldn't you consider that? It doesn't have to be 6 months. But keeping your head straight is key. Because A, it makes you feel good, and 2, it stops you from doing stupid things with your money or your client money. And in my opinion, you owe it to yourself. If you've gotten this far, you owe it to yourself. You could also go back and review your goals. Some of you are probably doing that every day anyway. But then think about, what are your values, right? How are your values reflected in your goals? And this can actually help boost your confidence. Because when you can discover that you're acting in concert with your goals and your stated objectives, that can build your self-esteem and make you feel good about yourself. And that's a good thing when you're trying to be a risk manager in a market that's very trying. Come back to winning the day. So we've advocated for that for quite some time. It's not probably out of bounds for you to hear me talking about having goals and things that you want to achieve, both in your personal life and your business life. And these two things kind of go hand in hand. I would be careful and not go nuts. I'd have one personal goal and one business goal. And I would make sure that they're not tasks, right? Buying a new monitor isn't a goal, right? Acquiring another skill, that might be one. Adding it to your existing business mix, that kind of a deal. Adding a new marketing channel to your business, bringing on or trying to hire a third-party marketer, that kind of stuff. Growing your business, growth. Think of growth. So the main thing is to learn, if you haven't already, how to take care of yourself, right? How do you love yourself in challenging times to, say, hey, it's okay if I take a break, because you're not losing. You're just taking a break. It's very different. And it helps clear your head. If, you do the same thing every day and you're listening to the media, you find yourself, whose life are you living? The one that they think you should be living, or the one that you think you should be living? Because most of the data points that they're speaking about on any given day aren't necessarily trends or wide-ranging economic style parameters. They're talking about data points that happen on any given day. And on any given day, you're going to find a name that's up 10% and one that's down, up or down 10%. And that becomes news. I don't, again, know how you can grow as a person from that. But again, I know in the investment advisory world, your clients might be watching TV, so it might make sense to have some feedback on the things that they're speaking about. You could also coach your clients to say, I'm not really spending my days watching the television. I'm busy working. And what I do is follow my model. And if the model works, I should be able to capture the alpha from any of these names once they hit price points or whatever and the criteria that I'm looking for. I'm not going to be in every name that goes up. You see? So you get to draw good boundaries with your clients as well. But it comes down to life on life's terms and you being in control of your own behavior and the things that you do for your money and with your money and your client funds, and then staying ahead of that and not get sucked up. Because who's the judge? I mean, sucked in, right? Who's the judge that says you have to get sucked in or you are getting sucked in. It's probably something that you're doing to yourself. And what I guess the most immediate thing you can do if you want to try to break that pattern is also, you take into account something like yoga. Yoga, you're going through different postures and then a sequence of movements. And the goal, it's been said to me, is that, with yoga, sometimes you put yourself in these uncomfortable positions and you have to learn how to relax and learn how to breathe. So that becomes very valuable on a whole bunch of levels, for life. How do you be in uncomfortable situation, but just chill, just be there. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to say anything because it's an analogy for life. So, you might be able to borrow from that or some other type of a process where you learn to just be in the moment without having to judge it or put yourself through the grinder, or worse, make yourself out to be some lacking in some way. When you start to internalize that and compound those results, you can really put yourself in a bad spot emotionally, mentally, and then financially as well. So anyway, if you're not sure which way to turn, reach out. Maybe I can help point you in the right direction. That's all I have for you today, this Friday, and for this week. I hope you had a good one. I hope the weekend's going to be relaxing and clarifying. If you haven't gotten a free copy yet of the Inner Voice of Trading audiobook and you'd like one, it's on me. You can get it for free at Martin Chronicle. And thank you for being here. I'll see you next week.